Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Taco Tuesday. This is where we discuss, good food, fitness, health, all this stuff, and everything in between and on the outside of it. Basically, we're here to hopefully give you some tools and tips and success in every sense of your being, body, mind, and spirit.
Man.
But basically today, we want to know one real simple question. Are you a planner or like a roll with the punches type of person? Like, what we're asking is, are you a punching bag or not?
Oh man.
Anyway, I'm Nick.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Brandon. And our goals with these live talks is to provide high value information and some actions you can take and perhaps some inspiration. So stay to the end. That's usually when we get to the actionable items. Today might be a little bit different that way. We're going to kind of go down, not a list, but walk through, I think, sort of a process.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm all good for different. Different is good.
Yeah, but we're definitely all about actionable, things we can do to make changes happen. So let us know you're here. If you're here with us live in our Facebook group, drop the fat, not the tacos. Give us a thumbs up. Tell us you're here. Let us know you can hear us. Ask the questions. All those things. If you're not in our Facebook group, though, you can't give us a thumbs up or comment. So you should come over here and join us. Again, that's a Facebook. If you just search "Drop the Fat, Not the Tacos," you'll find us. Come out and hang out with us. Ask us questions. Get insight and support from us and the rest of the community. We're all about lifting each other up here. Yeah, that's all I got there. Welcome.
Perfect. Well, then on that note, we actually have to update you. Last week, we held a very private class in place of our normal weekly live session here, and the results were honestly way better than we anticipated. We ran our very first Launchpad workshop with a perfect size group. Now, whatever your goals may be, when it comes to health and wellness, it is very hard to know exactly how to get started in those goals for all of us, no matter who you are and what you're good at. And it almost feels like you're stuck before you can even start doing the hard work. And we all know it's hard work to get to your goals. So after everybody in the group shared all our goals and little tidbits about each other throughout the workshop, actually, lots of our participants said it was really a relief to hear that there were other people that were struggling with the exact same things that they were. And it was also awesome to hear that all of the participants felt they got some clarity on their goals and found value in the material we provided. It was really cool.
Yeah, super cool. One of my favorite parts personally was, we weren't even all the way into it yet, and somebody spoke up and they were like, this was the best money I've ever spent on a workshop. And that just made me feel really like, okay, we're doing something right then.
We're doing the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that too. And so obviously, since it was a success, there were also a lot of people who couldn't come last week that wanted to attend. So we are going to run that bad boy again on Tuesday, December 7th. Everybody mark your calendars. 10 o'clock for us West Coasters, 1 p.m. for my East Coasters. And hopefully you can make it, but enough about that, Brandon. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, super fun, guys. Yeah, if you can be part of that workshop, I think it's just a super high value. Okay, so today we're talking about proactive mindset versus a reactive mindset. All right, so in the analogy that I always think of is, in the world of sport, they say the best defense is a good offense, right? The person who is throwing the punches has a distinct advantage over the person trying to block them and trying to react. Reacting is always going to be slower and more difficult. When you're throwing the punches, you know where they're going. You're not trying to keep up. While the defender, right, while you're defending, you have to either guess or make a lightning fast assessment and response before that punch lands and knocks you out. When you're on the attack, you're in control, right? You have control. That's the whole thing. And this is really, you know, a pretty good analogy for life and
Yes.
how we attack or don't attack life. When you have a plan, when you have a routine, when you know the steps, you're much more likely to succeed. You have the advantage.
Yeah, definitely. This is like, it's basically you're asking yourself like who's in control of what happens to you? Is it
Right.
me or is it the other person?
Mhm.
Right? It should always be me. I'm in control of what's going on. Right? That should be the obvious answer. But sometimes it's not, you know. Um, sometimes it does feel like someone else is calling the shots and you're getting a little beat up, you're taking all these hits,
Mhm.
and you know, you're just kind of reacting to everything that is happening to you. And it's not really a fun way to live. But I'll be honest, like I was there for a long time
Oh, for
myself.
sure.
But on the other hand, you know, when like you said, when you're on the attack, when you have something, when you're going for something, when you're planning to do something with yourself, when you're proactive, it's when you feel that you're in control. That's really when it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that analogy like made made some sense, right?
Yeah.
Best defense is a good offense. And so yeah, if you're with us, give me a thumbs up if that made any sense at all. So again, like, you know, how do you do this, right? That's kind of the big thing. How do we practice this in our lives? How do I practice being proactive? So I do want to like kind of walk through that a little bit.
Mhm.
So not to state the obvious, but look ahead. Being proactive involves some foresight, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the balance that's involved there. But yeah, being proactive involves foresight, and you know, when you plan a trip, you don't, you know, of more than like, you know, a day or two, you
Mhm.
don't just jump in the car and go, right? You get a
I
map.
certainly don't.
Yeah, right. You get a map. Jesus Christ! I said get a map. Like tell me you're old without telling me you're old. You get a map made with papyrus.
Made sense to me.
You know where you're going, right? You have navigation.
Mhm.
You know where to sleep, right? You're gonna set that up. You might plan where to eat. You
Mhm.
have a timeline, right? You look
Mhm.
ahead. You're not just like, oh, I feel like going to, you know, another state. I'm just going to take off, right? You look ahead a little bit. Whenever I take something on, I like to take a little bit of time, and it doesn't have to be like, you know, a day of planning, but I like to take a little time and look at the obstacles I might face. And I like to write them down really quickly. I mean, I'm talking about like chicken scratch, like, so
Yeah,
using
at least
the
there's some sort of basic foundation of what's gonna happen.
right
Yep.
Now,
bullet.
like to jump in and kinda like when it comes to that analogy of travel, like when I travel, I like to be a surprise. I'd like to find hidden gems, things that I wasn't
Mhm.
anticipating. And if I have an agenda, that doesn't happen. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, that doesn't necessarily work, but I know exactly what you're saying.
I was gonna say that, yeah, that works 0 out of 10 times for some people that I know. I'm not gonna call out any
It also doesn't work
call
for
out
me
any
all the time, but
call
but
out
if
any
you have an
Rebecca's
agenda,
or Rachel's. But
Hmm.
I take a quick inventory. Um, and like, yeah, again, yeah, using the example of travel. How will I get regular exercise while I'm
Mhm.
on?
yeah,
How will I eat healthily without a kitchen? Right, big problems, right? When
Mhm.
you know, when we have those things down in our daily lives, right? When will I eat? You know, and of course the list goes, you know, could go well beyond that. But I like to get like the big ones that are immediately like jumping out of my mind. At least get those down on paper.
Yeah.
And sometimes the answers will come to you right there, and they're easy and kind of no brainers. We don't need a lot of thought around those. But more often we're working on bigger issues, right? Than just like, where am I going to, you know, go tomorrow or whatever. You know, it might be a serious life change, and you might have to
yeah,
take a deeper look, especially when you're trying to establish new everyday habits and
Yeah.
routines, right? We see that all the time.
Ooh.
All
yeah.
right.
This is kind of like what we talked about here just a few minutes ago. We were talking about that workshop we put on last week. That's kind of what we're doing with that workshop. So it's kind of, it's just funny that this is
Right.
coming back around right now. It's creating that. It's basically, it's a very rough plan, but it's a plan.
It's something. Yeah. It's a structure and it gets the gears turning. That's the
Mhm.
idea, right? Like,
Right.
start that process of like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. What do I have in mind? That's, to deal with that. Right. So,
And the best part is if you're a Nick, you can, take that loose outline, or if you're a Rebecca or a Rachel, you can make a very detailed goal plan from that and take it however you want.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, you were just telling us yesterday. You've got your goals for 2022 all mapped out too. Is that right?
I am wrapping up this week my Q2 2022 goals. Yeah.
Good.
So what am I going to have done by the end of June? I will know that by the end of November.
And this is why Rebecca is part of the team.
It's a bit crazy, but it works for me.
Because Nick and Brandon are like, how can we help so-and-so today?
Yeah.
How can we help so-and-so tomorrow? Rebecca is like, how are we going to help hundreds of people next year? Love that. So moving on from that, right? Now that you've got your list, you looked ahead. You have a plan of what you might run into, right? That's it. Like you have that little map of like, okay, these things might come up. Now it's time to have a plan for that, right? Have those responses. I don't just mean like, I'm not just talking about meal plans, right? That's not a bad thing to do, but some people love it. It's not my favorite thing in the world. But what I mean is that now you've looked forward and thought about what things might be in your way. It's time to answer those questions and going back to that list. I mean, it can be quite simple, right? How will I get that regular exercise while I'm on the road? I'm going to pack my bands in case there's no gym at the hotel. Boom. Check.
Perfect.
How will I eat healthily without a kitchen? I'll bring a cooler and pack my own stuff. Okay, simple enough. When will I eat if I'm, with family who are on a different schedule, whatever? I kind of just answered that with the cooler thing. I can eat whatever I want. I have control over that just because other people are eating, right?
Right.
So sometimes
That's a
they're
big
not,
one.
yeah, that's huge, right? And
It's a
sometimes
big
they're
one
not
for a
like
lot of people.
things I have to do, but they're mindsets that I have to have.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's a big part of what today is, because like you mentioned, and usually we do give like action steps that you can take. Well, this one's more about adopting the idea behind being proactive towards what you want out of life versus just hoping that somebody, and that brings up a whole nother topic, but hoping that something good is going to happen. Like you're going on the attack, you're going to make this thing happen versus, well, I hope something good happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset we're trying to kind of convey here.
Right.
And like there's another level of planning, which I kind of describe like how I go when I travel, I kind of just flying by the seat of my pants. That's planning reactively. Okay. But it's not really how I want to live my life. That's just like that's kind of like vacation mode, right? Like almost less normal. Like that's not a way I want to live the rest of my life. That's planning reactively. And that basically involves for me not planning.
Right. I was gonna
And
say,
if we're going back to the analogy of like you're on the attack, you're punching, or you're the punching bag, that's kind of like letting yourself just get hit over and over again. You're going with it. Whatever good happens, whatever bad happens, you got to go with it because you don't know.
Yep.
And again, for travel, that's fine. But in life, I don't like that. It's not the way I like to live my life. And I know that like a lot of people who tend to be a bit more reactive, they just kind of like throw their hands up. Like anytime something bad happens, it's just like, whatever.
Right.
Right.
And they just respond to, again, like whether it's good or bad, whatever, I'm just going to go with it. And I do like to live with that, but I have this positive map already lined out in my world. It's that things are going to be good. I'm not hoping for them. I'm making them happen.
I'm going to make them be good.
Right.
Right. So of the two sides of that, which sounds like a better way to live. I mean, that should be pretty obvious at this point. But yeah, I mean, if you're out there, let us know. Do you want to be flying by the seat of your pants like when I travel, or do you want to be, having a plan and making good things happen?
Right. Yeah. Well, I want to see answers. Are you the punching bag or are you the puncher?
Yeah.
Are you the glove or are you the punching bag? Yeah, and then beyond that, you have your list of possible obstacles. You now have your answer to those questions, answers to those specific questions. The rest is just magic and magic action. and there is no
Unicorn farts?
yeah, right.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. Seriously. Too much positivity
We're gonna have to, yeah, right. We're gonna have to rename our podcast.
I'm down.
Parts. But that sort of is the magic, right? The first two steps are the magic because they make it so much easier to take action.
Yeah.
Rather than those things just coming up and sort of blindsiding us or us not having prepared. Then it's like now all the thinking and action has to happen at the same time. And it usually doesn't. That's usually where, for lack of a better word, fuck it mode comes from. Where I'm like, I don't know I don't know how to deal with this. Well, fuck it. It's just one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to be. That is not being in control. That is being controlled.
Yes.
And
that goes back to that question, like, which way would you rather live your life?
Yeah, exactly. But so with those two very simple things, quick list, quick inventory of the things that'll come up, quick answers to those things. Now you've given yourself the advantage, right? You've got the thinking done. Now it's easy to make it count.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the magic of the proactive mindset. You're already in action. You've already set the ball rolling. So what is usually the hard part is now the easy part. All you have to do is keep using that momentum. Right.
It's actually really funny. As I listened to you, I didn't think about this even when we were talking about doing this live talk. After we did the workshop last week, as some people know, there are quite a few obstacles in my life, and there were a couple obstacles that pop up pretty regularly. And I made a list of ways that I was going to make sure my workouts happened even when those obstacles popped up, which is kind of what you're talking about. And it's just funny to me. And I had to share because I'm like, oh, I didn't even mean to do that. And I did it. That's where I'm at now in my proactive mindset. And that's not the case a year ago. It would be a very different story. So it's very important.
Where did you learn that?
Where did I learn that?
Yeah. I mean, to use you as an example. Yeah, absolutely. We were like,
it's a great example, actually.
Day, right? 24-hour a day, fuck it mode. 24/7. Like, too much stuff.
Yep, I was all the time. That was my life. And I got there because so many people said, you got to roll with the punches and just take it as it comes. And, you're too much of a planner, Rebecca. And, you get disappointed when you plan things and it doesn't happen. But when I switched my nature from who I am to be a planner, it wasn't good for my mindset. It wasn't good for my life. And my health and my fitness declined at a point where I had just finally felt like I got that under control. And so being a planner and going, okay, so when this pops up, how am I going to tackle that? So now for those of you who see my posts, every single Tuesday, I do my workout with Brandon in the morning and my workout with Eden in the evening, because regardless, I know that on Tuesday, I get 2 of my workouts in. And that's how I'm proactive with making sure I hit that goal.
Using your superpowers, right?
Exactly.
Planning and organization is one of your superpowers. You do it thoroughly. It is not one of my superpowers, but it's definitely necessary. Yeah. And so I take a much more bare bones approach than you do. You're way more thorough, but that's what it is. Recognizing that is your superpower, use it to your advantage.
Totally.
Yeah. And if for like Brandon and myself, when it's not our superpower, we bring somebody on who does have that superpower to help us out.
Oh yeah, right. Enlist someone who has the superpower that you need. That is for sure.
That's a big part of like success in any way. You got to have that support network, right? That's a big part of what we're trying to accomplish by developing this community, is having a really strong support network for people to lean on each other and to, hey, what happens if whatever? You've got somebody who probably has insight. whether it's us or somebody else.
Right. And that's the thing. When you're putting that list together, okay, this is in my way, and you can't come up with that answer. Yeah, have your people. Right. I was just talking to someone about when I try to DIY everything.
Whew.
I get DIY results. Right?
Well, I'm bootstrapping.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
And, like, hey, dirty action. Yes. Like get it done, get it started, move, whether it's perfect or not, certainly. But if you really don't have the answer, man, reach out. That is exactly what this community is about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And hell, even if it's
our
not
group.
not us, find someone who knows, ask the questions. Don't be afraid to do that. I think that's just everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
And a big part of that, we can loop that back around and, say that, walking around the world is simply reacting to things that are happening to you. That's not a way to live, especially if all you have to do is ask a question. But I will be honest and say, like, sometimes you don't even know. Like, you don't even know what to ask. You might not even realize, like, that there is a way to get past whatever struggles you may be having.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere, right? You got to grab the reins and try to direct your own course as much as you can, to as much as you can in your own world. Otherwise, we're going back to that. You want to be controlled or do the controlling of your own world. And you got to learn from your mistakes. And the difficulties that come up in your world. And pretty soon, even if you don't know what to ask, if you don't know what to do right now, pretty soon, if you just start taking one small step in the right direction by simply making this list, that's one small step.
Yeah, there you go. Get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That can make you feel a little bit more empowered. It can make you feel a little bit more positive. It can make you feel like, okay, I actually did something today, something that I want to do for myself to move me in the right direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know that being proactive, it's again, it's not my superpower by any means, but it will become more natural over time. And it certainly has for me. And you get a kind of a peace, kind of a level of peace from it.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that's.
And then when things do come in and kind of like stick a stick in the spokes, or they throw a wrench in the gears or whatever, how to respond in a proactive way, in a more proactive way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not to mention how much easier it feels to get through those difficulties, right? That's the thing is It may not be easier. It may still be the same struggle, but it feels easier. And as I mentioned earlier, being newly invested in having this proactive mindset, I'm not only having an easier time prioritizing the things that I need to stay on track, but I have been far more successful in reaching those goals sooner. And it's not what I expected because it hasn't been results from the past, because that piece was missing. And I find it to be a much better way to go about my life, to have a plan and be proactive and know that when an obstacle comes up, I already have a plan to overcome that. It just makes things as easy as possible.
Totally. No, and I think we're almost understating that, right? That's our mission, really, is for people to have peace of mind.
Yep.
And to feel like they know what they're doing, to feel like they know what steps they need to take, or at least feel like they are where they should be, or whatever it is. But that peace of mind, that is, that stability that comes from being proactive, right? Having a proactive mindset is supposed to be stress relieving.
Yes.
Right. And I think there's an important thing to note here about kind of the balance that is involved there, right? Just like with all things, if we're too rigid, just to kind of play devil's advocate here, if we're too rigid, right, it'll be stress inducing. And planning is not my superpower. If I try to plan the way Rebecca plans,
such anxiety overload.
My head is like, too many things. Right. And we've talked, I love the rider and the elephant. If you haven't heard that analogy from me yet, I don't remember what episode it is, but will direct you to that.
Yeah.
But don't let the rider overwhelm the elephant by being too rigid. Step there, step there, step there. Now step there. Watch out for that. Don't let this happen, right? That's gonna overwhelm the emotional and powerful elephant, and soon that elephant is again in fuck it mode. So we can't, there's definitely a balance here. Like on the other side of that, right? If we're too loose and don't really invest the little bit of time that it takes to get a little bit organized,
Yep.
we won't get that emotional benefit, the satisfaction and contentment that comes from a plan that puts our minds at ease, right? Basically, you want to be able to say, I've got this, not, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Whether that's from I have no plan, or if it's this plan is too much, right? So if you really don't know what the hell to do, it's all overwhelming. Then we're here for you, right? Reach out.
Yeah.
Because that
community too. The DFNT group, same thing.
Yeah. When I say us, I mean the community,
group.
but also us. If you want to reach out to us, that's also fine.
That being said, like something I used to say, you were talking about the elephant and the rider and being, loose or too rigid. I used to say you got to be firm but flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You got to be firm but flexible in everything that happens. You got to, in order to even have any sort of resilience in any sort of the way, you got to be able to take a hit, and like you might get knocked down, but then you got to be able to come back and come back quickly too. So in order to do that's a skill to develop, and I think this is too, but this is much more manageable by just taking that first step, write some things down. What do I want to happen?
Yeah.
How am I going to get there? What's going to get in my way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's going to be in the way? Yeah. And it can be so quick. I mean, that's the thing that I can't like stress enough. It doesn't have to be a huge thing that a big undertaking that takes even half an hour. I mean, we're talking about a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Really fast. And the peace of mind that can give you, or the clarity that can give you for who knows how long, right? You end up, when I do this, I end up answering big questions sometimes that end up changing how I deal with like life. I mean, period. Always, it affects my every single day sometimes. And so it's just a matter of taking a moment, kind of like we talk about in the Stress Buster workshop.
Absolutely.
Just take a second.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. And you can't have that if you're just constantly like, oh, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? And you never give yourself that moment. Come on. 60 seconds. Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Yeah. Actually, you two, this is something I'm pulling from just on outside of this conversation. You two, I've heard you talk about like anybody can do anything for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I said it this morning for 20 seconds because we were doing Tabatas. Yeah.
Totally.
Seriously.
That has definitely been a huge, huge, huge thing for me, especially when I started working with you guys. There were many, 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 many times where I would send a text to Brandon and say, I know I need to work out. I haven't done it in 2 days, 3 days, whatever it was. I really don't want to. And he would say, put on your workout clothes, go stretch for 2 minutes. Anybody can do anything for 2 minutes. And then if you want to give up, give up. But I bet you'll want to go for another 2 minutes. And next thing you know, I finished an entire workout, and it was just having the right positive mindset. Okay, I'm going to do this. And at least if I do that, I've got that 2 minutes out of the way, and at least I did my stretching. But it makes you want to keep going, and you feel good. And you're like, oh, I did that. I could keep going. Oh, I did that. I could hit that next obstacle. It's perfect.
That's so the rider and the elephant right there. Your rider is like, we've got to work out for 45 minutes or else it's not even worth it. Like, why are you even trying? Right? And the elephant is like,
nap time?
Me into 45 minutes of like, God, it's going to feel this way. And then I have to do this.
No, I don't want to be sore the next day. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
About the whole world. Right. And it's like, no, 2 minutes. All you need to do is whatever has to happen right this second.
Yeah, we do get wrapped up in this idea that we take ourselves, we fast forward and we come up with all the worst things that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to get sweaty. I'm going to be sore. I have to I have to get out of bed. Like,
Blah, 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 blah.
yeah, exactly. And that's all it is. We're finding justifications for why we shouldn't do something that we already know logically we should do. We're using our emotional rationalization or something that stops us from doing the thing we know we want to do and the thing we know we need to do.
Yep. Overwhelming the elephant with directions. It's just shut the rider up. Shut the rider up. Here we go. All we're going to do is take this one step. You can do that. That's it. And most of the time, then the elephant is like, hey, that felt good.
I can do this.
I can do more of these. Let's take more steps.
Yeah.
Just one, just the next right thing. Anything else, guys? I think we started talking about like, take a list, look ahead a little bit. And then we just ended with like, all you have to do is, answer this moment right here.
But it's good to remember that balance, because sometimes, I mean, me in particular can get too caught up in the planning that it's important to remember that planning doesn't always have to be an extensive agenda for every aspect of your life. It can simply be, today I am planning on putting on my workout clothes the moment I wake up so that I am more motivated to do my workout an hour and a half from now or whatever it is.
Yep.
And it's important to remember that it doesn't always have to be a big, huge plan. It can be a 2-minute plan.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And that is the whole thing, the balance, right? Our superpowers work against us sometimes. And we have to kind of step back and recognize that, okay, this is something that works for me really well right now. It's kind of working against me. Just this moment right now. What's the one thing? One thing. We can get back to the list later when we're in a, kind of a better space.
Exactly.
Right. All we can do is one thing at a time anyway.
Right. The multitasking myth. We went over that thoroughly. Yeah. That's where is that? That's one of our episodes. But no jumping around, right?
Yep.
Grasping for different things. Boom, 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 boom.
And I will say, I make a list for myself every day. And I will say that if I don't make that list of just things that I need to do, right? It's just a to-do list. But if I don't make that list, I get lost and I find myself jumping around.
Yeah.
See, you're a little bit of a planner after all.
Yeah, it's pretty rough though.
Well, I guess if there is one thing that people could do and you want to have one plan for one action that you could possibly take, if you're not in our Drop the Fat, Not the Tacos group, you need to come over and take that one tiny little action so that you can contribute, we can support you, and we can be part of your tribe and you can be part of ours.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Very well put. Very well put.
Yeah. If you're in the group already, then that's going to be my challenge for you this week, to do something for yourself or someone else in the group. I want you to either comment on someone else's post and lift them up, or create a post and ask a question so we can lift you up.
Yep. Okay. Or I'm gonna add on to that. And if you're doing something that's good for yourself, take a picture of it.
Hell yeah.
Provide the opportunity for other people to encourage you, because if we don't know, we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Share your successes, make them all that much sweeter, inspire somebody else. That's what it's all about. And I think it's time to get out of here.
Yeah. Hey, before we go, Rebecca, why don't you run down the details on the Friendsgiving special thing? Because I've had a few people ask about it, and to be honest, I haven't gotten back to them yet.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking, what the heck is this Friendsgiving special? And the coaching, the 12-week coaching, clean coaching, we call it, that you do with Nick and Brandon, that is normally it's a pretty good cost. It's worth it, but it's a $3,000 cost for our program. But we really want to help and support our community. And we understand that things are a little rough right now with coming out of COVID, and we want to lift up our community. So we're giving this offer where get a friend to come along on the journey with you. They'll be there to help keep you accountable. You'll be there to help keep them accountable. But I know personally, I'm more motivated to have success when I know someone else's success is at stake. So get a friend, and instead of the normal fee, you both get 40% off of our coaching rate. And on top of that, if you have another friend that really needs some help, get a group of girlfriends together and come and achieve your goals together and encourage each other. And we give you a 50% off discount. And this is never going to happen again. So take advantage of it so we can help as many people as possible.
Yeah. Super huge deal there. Yeah, please, guys, reach out to us. The group is open to any and all, so please come in and say hi. If you are thinking about that Friendsgiving special, yeah, definitely reach out to one of us in the group, and we can get you started. We've got a little bit of room right now, so. Yeah, and then Thanksgiving is upon us, and then we're moving into the holidays, guys. So now is a good time to be in action. We'll be talking about that soon. Pardon me. Next week, come back. We're gonna talk, I think, a little bit. Well, we haven't confirmed this. I would like to talk a little bit next week about the other side of the coin, what we talked about today, and adaptability.
Being firm but flexible. Yeah.
Being firm yet flexible. Yes. Other than that, guys, come say hi in the group. Lift each other up. Do what you do in there. That's what we created that place for. Ask the questions. Like I said, the holidays are upon us. If we don't hear from you before then, I want to wish you guys a happy holiday season. And but hopefully we do hear from you, because now is a time I know a lot of us can use support. So let's do that for each other.
Absolutely.
And I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. We love you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.